Here's how my time on Battlefield 2042 went. Now, I've got mixed feelings about this game, because I really enjoy it some games, and then some other games I want to die. In my review, in this video, there's a lot of mixed feelings that I have. It's really good sometimes, and sometimes it is so unplayably bad that I just have to uninstall it. So I will say this, overall, I did have a positive experience with Battlefield 2042, but we're gonna dive into all of the things that make it negative, and all the things that make it positive, and you guys can determine for yourselves whether or not you should buy it this weekend. So, if you have the Gold Edition, you got early access this weekend to Battlefield 2042, and I have the Gold Edition, so I was playing it all weekend. I've put in hours into this game, and I've come to a couple of conclusions. Now we're gonna start with the bad. So the very first thing is just, I don't want to harp on this too much just because it's probably going to be fixed, especially when it releases to the public. But the servers and just there's so many bugs and issues. And again, I know it probably will be fixed, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But I've never played a buggier game, I don't think. Half the time the servers did not work. And when they did and you were fortunate enough to find a game, half of the time it didn't even work properly, meaning you couldn't even choose your weapon or your class or your specialist or anything. You just were in the game. You couldn't choose anything. So it worked like 50% of the time. I would say half of the time this whole weekend, I was not even able to play the game, which is ridiculous. But like I said, I don't want to harp on that too much because that's probably not going to be a final thing, but it was pretty dang bad. Now let's move on to more gameplay type things that are actually bad in the game. Now, if you like getting absolutely abused by vehicles, then you're going to love this game. Because I would say that over 75% of my deaths in the entire weekend were from a vehicle. It was either from helicopters, it was either from tanks, it was either from these boats that drive around. I was getting slaughtered by vehicles left and right. That was the main cause of my death. It was rare where I was actually dying by another guy on the ground with a gun. It was mainly just a helicopter attack from above or from just nowhere. Now, I'm not the most Battlefield experienced player. I will admit, this is the first Battlefield I've really played, so maybe that's just how it is in Battlefield. But it was excessive, man. I was getting slaughtered by vehicles in this game. And I don't really know how they could fix that. Maybe add less vehicles per map or just make vehicles less accessible. But man, it was just very frustrating dying by a vehicle pretty much as soon as I spawned at any time. Now something else that is an issue, and it was an issue with the beta as well, and something that people were very not excited about, are just the specialists and how you can customize them however you want. Some specialists are really overpowered with a specific weapon or with a specific ability. For example, if you can heal yourself, you can choose the ammo crate and you can choose any weapon you want. So you can be a sniper that camps in some huge-ass skyscraper in the middle of nowhere that just snipes people, heals themselves, and refills your own ammo. Like, that's just way too overpowered. It's just way overkill, and there's just a lot of different combinations just like that make the game very interesting, to say the least. And it gives players an unfair advantage. Yes, I could do the same thing, but I don't want to be a little bitch and camp in a sniper corner the entire game. I would actually like to play and engage. So for the players that don't care about that and do want to be a little bitch, they will just camp and take full advantage of the fact that you can customize your specialist however you want to. And I'm not a fan of it at all, I will say. Something else that I absolutely hated was the fact that you could hardly have any control over your aim down sight sensitivity. Let me explain. Now, with your sensitivity in the game, there is only one slider and it does one thing. It changes your overall sensitivity as a whole. There is no way to change your aim down sight sensitivity as well as your normal sensitivity. So, for example, I love to play with a low sensitivity while I'm aiming down sights, but a high sensitivity while I'm running around the map. So, I'm running around the map trying to move, and I'm moving really slow because I set my aim sensitivity to like 20. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized real quickly, you cannot change the sensitivities. It is all just one slider for all of your sensitivity all together. You're up, you're down, you're left, you're right. All of your sensitivities all together are all the same, including aiming down the sights. So you have to find a sweet spot. Something you're okay and comfortable with running around in, as well as something you're okay and comfortable aiming down sights with. And that's it. I didn't like that at all. You have zero customization whatsoever when it comes to sensitivity, which I think is a big deal in the game. Now, this one can be either a good or a bad thing. And I'm just going to say the maps. Some of the maps are so great. Some of the maps I like a lot, actually. But some of them are really, really bad. And what I mean by that is there's just too much of an open area in certain maps. There's just way too much open areas. You are running for miles on end. And I know that these maps are supposed to be big. I know that's a huge push for the game. But I find myself running for minutes on end without finding anybody. And I just have to end up either redeploying or I just have to deal with it. And either way, I don't want to do either of those things. So that sucks. Now again, I get it. It is a big push for the game. So sometimes these huge maps work really well depending on the map. But there's some maps, the Antarctica map to be exact, is just way too big in certain areas. There's times where I'm running for minutes on end without finding anybody, and that just really takes the fun out of the game, especially when you're on a kill streak or you're just playing well. It really just kills you. It shoots you in the foot with the flow. It's just not fun. Now this one can be a little bit nitty gritty. This one might be a little bit of just like a stickler. It's not a huge issue, but the respawn timer, I absolutely hate that respawn timer. The fact that every time I spawn, I have to wait like 5 seconds to hop right back in, it just kills the flow. Now that could just be the dumbest thing ever to some of you, but it was a big deal to me. Every time I died, I just had to wait like seconds to respawn. It sounds really dumb, but it really bothered me. I was not a fan of it. I won't harp on it too much, but every time you die, you have to wait like 5+ seconds to be able to respawn. It just pissed me off. It just made me angry. Now, those are the main issues. Again, I'd say the most overwhelming issue was the vehicles and the specialists. Like I said, just being able to choose whatever you want for whatever specialist you want, that's just way too overpowered, man. And as well as just, I was just getting dicked down by these vehicles. Like, it was not even funny, you guys. I was getting absolutely slaughtered by these vehicles. It was just not, it made it really not fun when it was 15, 20 times in a row. Now, let's move on to the good things. All right, we've harped on a couple of bad things. Let's head on over to the good things. Now, the things I like was the gunplay. Once you figured out your sensitivity, the gunplay and the way that it performs in game, just how it feels really good. I think it feels great. The weapons feel very fun and different to use. I like it a lot. I love the weapon progression in the game. It is a lot of fun. Reminds me a lot of Call of Duty. The more you use each weapon, the more attachments you unlock for it, which obviously is a bonus. Now, speaking of attachments, I love the way that they did it in this game. I think it's really, really cool that mid-gunfight, you can change an attachment on your weapon if you want. You have 3 attachments for each of the 4 categories. Your barrel, your magazine, your sight, and your grip, the little foregrip you have. You can choose 3 attachments for each of those categories. Yes, there are more than 3, but you can only choose 3 to have in each game. And you can cycle through these attachments however much you want during the game, anytime you want. And these really change the gun a lot. These attachments will change the way that you play with that gun a ton. It can make it either a long-ranged weapon or it can make it more medium or close range. It really completely changes the way that you play when you change these attachments. So I think it's really unique and cool that you can change it mid-game. I think it's a lot of fun. It looks really cool too, so I really like the whole attachment swapping system. I think it really helped with the gameplay and the flow of the game. Now, something else I like are the good maps. The good maps in this game are really, really good. They feel great to play on. I love the good maps in this game. Like I said, there are some maps that are just very bad, and it really hurts when you're playing these maps. You feel them a lot when it's a bad map. But same goes for a good map as well. When it's a fun map, it is really fun, and I mean really fun. There's just constant action happening all the time. It does feel like an action movie the entire time you're playing, which is just really cool. I mean, there's planes crashing all over the place. There are bullets raining down from these fighter jets that just fly over you randomly. It's just really cool. It's very cinematic. I think it's a really fun game to play when you're playing on a really good map. I think it's very fun. Again, I just really like the weapons in this game. The progression feels really good. I play a lot of games where the progression just doesn't feel rewarding, and it really hurts the gameplay, but not this game. The progression feels great. The guns feel great. It's very fun to unlock new things and to experiment new attachments, and the progression is very rewarding, and I liked that a lot. I think the new player cap increase, increasing it to more players on these bigger maps was really cool. It makes the game even more Battlefield-ish, if that makes sense. Just huge action scenes all the time, just a lot of potential to get a lot of kills and just big games, and I like it a lot. I just love the basic game modes. They're just a lot of fun. It's very basic, but it's very fun when you get the hang of it. I think the core gameplay mechanics work really, really well. Like I said, other than my sensitivity slider issue, I think everything about the core game mechanics are just really good. The controls are great. The game feels great. The weapons feel awesome. It's just a fun game to hop into and just to start playing. It feels a lot like a Battlefield, which is exactly what we want. Like I said, I overall had a very positive experience with Battlefield 2042. When it worked, I had a great time with it, and it didn't work that much over this weekend, so hopefully that gets fixed. I was really bummed out. There were so many times where I was just so excited to hop on and start playing, and I just simply couldn't, and that's never fun for any game. So hopefully that gets fixed, but when it did work, and when you got a good map, it was a lot of fun. But man, when you got a negative map or one that just isn't as good, it just was not fun at all. That ice map, dude, I did not play a single game on the ice map, the Antarctica map. That was fun. And that could just be me and my play style. Maybe I just don't love long range things. But that entire map is riddled with just long range encounters. And you're just getting sniped all the time. Vehicles just everywhere. So maps like that, just no. Overall, I would say it was a positive experience with Battlefield 2042. I had a great time. So there are things that could be fixed. There are things that could definitely be changed to make it a lot better. But overall, I would say it's a great game, and I'm excited for the full public release. I think it will be a good time. I think everyone's going to enjoy it for the most part. I wouldn't say it's the best Battlefield ever. I wouldn't say it's the best game ever, but it's fun, it's playable, and when it's fun, it's really, really fun. So hopefully they make the necessary changes that they need to. Hopefully the servers are working a lot better this weekend. But that's my review on it. Overall, I had a great time with Battlefield 2042 this weekend in the early release. Let me know what you guys think about Battlefield in the comment section down below, like right now. Let me know what you guys think. That's my thoughts. That's my experience so far with the game. And remember, it is all my personal experience. These are my personal thoughts with it. And if you disagree, that's great. But I'd like to hear it in the comment section down below.